Behind me today, we have from the United States ATF, we have Lenny Panetta, Brad Engelbert, we have Ben Agati, the Senior Assistant Attorney General from the state of New Hampshire, and we have Jane Young, the Associate Attorney General from the state of New Hampshire. Of course, the Honorable Mayor Theodore Ted Gatsas, Chief Nick Willard, and Assistant Chief Carlo Capano. I'm going to call up the Honorable Mayor Gatsas first, followed by Jane Young, and we'll conclude with Chief Willard. At that time, we'll take several questions. Please be patient. Again, thanks for your assistance today. With that, Mayor Gatsas.
Thank you, everybody. Let me begin by acknowledging Chief Nick Willard and the men and women of the Manchester Police Department for their swift response to this morning's incident. They worked quickly to ensure the safety of city residents and immediately began the search and investigation to apprehend the subject. One of the officers has been released from the hospital and is home recovering. The other officer has been transported to the Boston Hospital and remains in stable condition. Our hearts and prayers go out to those officers and their families. Chief Willard will release the names of the officers to you this afternoon. This remains an active investigation being led by the Office of the Attorney General. They, in cooperation with the Manchester Police Department, have apprehended the subject and he remains in police custody. They will also address that with you this afternoon. I would also like to thank the West Side residents for their cooperation throughout the incident. I want to ensure the West Side residents and all city residents that while this remains an active investigation, there is no danger to the public. The subject is in custody, and I, along with Chief Willard, want to ensure that the city is safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Approximately 2 o'clock this morning, Officer Ryan Hardy of the Manchester Police Department was on 2nd Street near Ferry Street. He saw an individual. He was concerned about that individual, made an approach because 2 nights ago there was a robbery at the Sunoco on Eddy Road here in Manchester, and this individual fit the description. The officer got out of his vehicle, indicated to dispatch that he was doing so, and almost immediately after indicated that shots were fired and that he was struck. He was also able, in the situation that he was in after being struck by bullets, he was able to tell dispatch that the subject was headed south on 2nd Street, that it was a white male with long hair and wearing a trench coat. Again, this was a similar description to the individual who had committed the robbery the night before. At approximately 2:23, Officer Matthew O'Connor and members of the New Hampshire State Police saw a male fitting the same description in the area of Rimmen near Putnam Streets in Manchester. Officer O'Connor asked the man to stop. At that point, the individual turned around, fired shots at the officer, striking him in the leg. There was return fire. The subject fled the area. At approximately 5 a.m., as the police were searching the area for the description that we put out earlier, a man, long hair, white, in a trench coat. The police saw somebody fitting that description. They made contact with an individual by the name of Ian McPherson, age 32. He was arrested at that time for resisting detention. Through the course of the day, the police have followed up on leads, have followed up on evidence, and at this time we can tell you that we have secured arrest warrants for Mr. McPherson for 2 counts of attempted capital murder for shooting at both of the officers who were fully uniformed at the time that they were shot and injured. Chief?
Good afternoon. I'm Nick Willard. I'm the police chief in Manchester. As you can imagine, today was a very difficult day for the city and for the Manchester Police Department. I'm going to be identifying the 2 officers that were injured last night, and I would ask that you give them a level of privacy as they navigate the difficulties and trauma that they just experienced. It would be greatly appreciated. These officers acted courageously. Last night, I saw members of the Manchester Police Department, New Hampshire State Police, and other local law enforcement and federal agencies come together to do an incredibly courageous thing. Even in spite of an officer being down, they continued to run after the subject. They continued to pursue. Even after a second officer was down, they continued, at their own peril, to pursue the subject who shot 2 officers. I cannot express deeply enough my profound respect for the officers of the Manchester Police Department and officers in the profession of law enforcement. I'd like to thank everyone for your patience regarding the incident today. I know the media had a thirst for information, and with social media, there was a lot of false information put out there that really kind of made your appetites even more salacious. So I do appreciate the fact that you were patient with us as much as you could have been. The incident today occurred with Officer Ryan Hardy, age 27. He's been a member with the Manchester Police Department since 2015. And prior to joining the Manchester Police Department, he was an outstanding police officer for the Derry, New Hampshire Police Department for 2 years. He was the first officer who was shot. The second officer who was shot is Officer Matthew O'Connor, age 28. He's been with the Manchester Police Department since April of 2014. He served on the Henniker Police Department for 7 years prior to joining the Manchester Police Department. He is a veteran of the United States National Guard who also served in combat in Afghanistan in 2010. Both of these officers were shot at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning and 2:23 respectively. Officer Hardy stopped the subject who matched a description of an armed robbery from the previous evening on May 12th at 245 Eddy Road, Shell gas station. When he encountered the individual, he matched the description of the robbery from the previous evening, and that prompted his engaging this individual. Upon stopping him on 2nd Street and Ferry Street, the subject fired upon the officer, striking him twice, once in the face and once in the upper shoulder that traveled down to his torso. He radioed for assistance to Manchester officers McGee and Officer O'Connor. The second officer shot, then engaged in tracking the suspect with a canine officer. During that track, they located a subject in the area of Putnam and Dubuque Street, at which time the subject started to fire upon the officers while exclaiming that, "I'm your man." Officer O'Connor was struck by a bullet and was treated at a local hospital. Officer McGee was not injured. Officer O'Connor is married with no children, and Officer Hardy is married with 2 small children. Officer Hardy is currently being treated at a Boston hospital only due to his own preference, due to proximity to family. So they have easier access to him, not because of any medical condition. And I'm more than happy to take some questions.
Any idea what the motive was for this man shooting at the officers?
Well, I do not, but he was being stopped as a suspect in an armed robbery that occurred the night before, wearing the same clothing. So I guess you can surmise yourself, but I don't know the true answer to that.
Chief, has he recovered the weapon, and if so, what was it? How much firepower did he have on him?
Yeah, you know, right now, it's still just too early in the investigation and too fluid that I wouldn't answer any case-specific things because the Attorney General wouldn't be too happy with me.
So just so we're clear, you said it was at around 5 a.m. that the suspect was apprehended? It's at 5 a.m. today?
I
right?
believe so.
Okay, so there was, a large police presence obviously in the area, the news, helicopters for quite a while this morning. Did you think there might be other people involved, or what was, what were the helicopters doing? What was going on past
Okay.
the point of apprehending him?
Yeah, when we knew what we had because he actually shot one of the officers. Officers engaged him a second time. So we knew it was one individual. We contacted New Hampshire State Police for their helicopter. It was not available to us, so Massachusetts State Police assisted us. They put their helicopter up in the air, and we believe that may have been what fleshed out the individual.
Does
Was there
Ian
a delay
McJoseph
in
have
making-
criminal history?
That I don't know yet.
Was
Where
there a
was
delay
Officer
in making
O'Connor
arrests?
shot in the body, and were the officers wearing ballistic vests?
Both officers were wearing their vests, and Officer O'Connor was shot in the leg.
Chief, was there a delay in announcing the arrest? You had the community under a shelter-in-place order for several hours before it was lifted, and were you not looking for someone at that time, or was that, looking back, was that necessary?
Well, yeah, it was necessary because there was still a lot going on. We still hadn't corroborated any of our beliefs. I mean, you still have to build a case. So if you take, if we find an individual in that area, then we believe it's that individual. We still have to make a case to show that it is him. We still have to establish probable cause. And that takes a period of time to do that. And that was the delay. But even then, we still want to search the area for any other individuals he may have, friends he may have, anything he may have discarded. We don't know, right? The last thing we want to do is to allow people to walk around the area freely, have children in the area when police officers are doing yeoman's work. I mean, there was a lot of stuff out there to do, and it just made the most sense to make sure everybody was safe. So I knew 100% if I'm going to put children in harm's way, that they're going to be walking to the corner store, that I'm making the right call. And I believe with the mayor's leadership and assistance, I think we did.
Chief,
Was
can
the
you talk
suspect-
more about the apprehension of the suspect, where that happened, did he resist, that type of thing?
No, I mean, he complied with officers and he was taken into custody.
Was he armed at the time, was he asked to? put
I'm
down
not,
the
that's
gun?
too specific that I won't get into yet.
Was he shot or wounded?
No, he
You
was
said it
not.
return fire. Okay,
No,
so
he was not.
wasn't.
Will we be arraigned on Monday on the 2 counts?
Given the time of day right now, we're awaiting that. We'll have more information on Monday. I wouldn't anticipate it would be 9 o'clock. It's probably later on Monday, Manchester District Court,
What
Ninth
is the
Circuit.
capital murder charge?
So it's attempted,
What is that?
'cause
Attempted
by the
is
grace
more
of God, the-
serious than capital.
Yep, so it's up to life. It carries an up-to-life penalty for each of the charges.
Chief, you mentioned that the helicopter might have flushed him out. Sources in Mass State Police are telling us that the helicopter pilot actually spotted him hiding possibly under a porch. If so, can you provide the location of that?
I cannot, unfortunately.
Is that indeed true, however, though, that the helicopter pilot spotted him hiding under a porch?
It very well could be. I do not know that, though.
Can you speak to Officer Hardy's ability to radio in the description of the suspect and how important that was?
Yeah, I believe everybody has heard the 911 call. And if you heard the injuries, we have in here that he was shot in the face. So he still had the ability and the wherewithal to call out his location, do it in a calm manner, and set it in such a way that the officers knew exactly where to find him. The officers also knew that there was a dangerous individual in the area, and he was able to give the description. So as the officers actually responded to him while he was down, literally down, they were able to look for the individual en route for their own safety. It's actually Officer Hardy's reaction to being shot is beyond courageous. It's remarkable.
So does Officer Hardy patrol that area? How did he come to be in that area where he encountered Ian McPherson? And what did he know about him, that suspect for the armed robbery?
Well, we had the armed robbery the night before. I believe we even put a presser out with the description in hopes that somebody would help us identify the clothing. He saw somebody with very similar clothing the next subsequent shift. So it's reasonable to believe that maybe that's the gentleman or the man who committed the robbery the previous night. So he was just doing his regular patrol work, but being very vigilant.
And you said Mr. McPherson spoke to the officers during the course of this?
At one point, I believe it's in the press release, he says, "I believe I'm your man." No, that was in the old one. But yes,
Where is he
So-
being held right now?
it's out. Right now, he's going to be at Valley Street Jail.
Chief, would you say your officers, or at least Officer Hardy, is lucky to be alive tonight, or how would you characterize, I mean, you said he was shot in the face a couple times, you've had officers that haven't survived shootings, how would you term your officers, ones out of the hospital?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of grace shining upon Officer Hardy, but you can't discount that warrior spirit, that desire to live, that will to survive, and he permeates that attitude. He's an exceptional young man.
Chief, we'll take 2 more questions, sir.
Two more
Chief, will you
questions?
be releasing photographs of the 2 officers?
What would you think? Not yet.
And what about
I-
mugshot of the suspect?
Yes, that will be forthcoming.
Chief,
Was Mr. McPherson known to police?
That I don't know.
How do you spell his name?
There's a press release that has come out with spellings and age.
You should have all the paperwork when you walk out.
Is Officer Hardy at Brigham and Women's?
What's that?
Is Officer Hardy at?
He's at a Boston hospital. And again, I can't stress it enough. The families of the 2 downed officers are going through a very difficult time, right? It's their worst fear. They want their husbands to come home to them safe. I can't express it enough. Please respect their privacy. If not but for the day or a week, but if you could respect their privacy while they navigate the unfortunate tragedy that has befell them. And that's it for now, so thank you all very much.
Thank you for attending, folks. Greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, there you